welcome to episode 110 of Uncovering the Corners of the World podcast. I'm your host, Karina Kasmala, using research and my personal experiences where I actually set foot in some of these places. I'll be describing some of the unknown attractions in both the US and around the world, as well as share some of the hidden landmarks. This week, we are in Pennsylvania. Looking down from the pedestrian bridge in Allegheny National Forest, you'll find large, twisted steel towers laying in the valley. These towers were once part of the tallest and longest viaduct in the world that transported both materials such as coal, lumber, and coal, and later people across the Kinzua Gorge. Located at 296 Viaduct Road in Mount Jewel, Pennsylvania, is Kinzua Bridge State Park, named after the steeled viaduct that was built in 1882 and carried passengers by locomotives. Originally constructed out of iron, the bridge was 2,053 feet long, 301 feet high, and weighed 3,105,000 pounds. For the viaduct to withhold the weight of heavier trains, it was rebuilt with steel in the 1900s. Although it was the same length and height, it weighed twice as much as it did when it was made with iron. In 1963, the viaduct was designated the Kinzua Bridge State Park, and the park opened during the 1970s. The viaduct was added to the National Register of Historic Civil Engineering Landmarks during 1977. Even though freight traffic was discontinued in 1959, excursion trains took passengers on a trip from Marionville, Pennsylvania to the Allegheny National Forest on the Kinzua Viaduct in 1987. About 15 years later, in 2002, the viaduct was completely closed to all traffic after engineers found that portions of the viaduct were rusted through. The engineers suspected that high winds could cause the weight of the bridge to shift, leading it to completely collapsing. In the beginning of 2003, the bridge underwent repairs, but in July, a F1 tornado traveling 94 miles per hour struck the side of the Kinzua Bridge and pulled the towers from their concrete bases, knocking them over. In 2011, the 6 restored support towers that were left standing were converted into a 624-foot-long pedestrian walkway called the Kinzua Skywalk, with a 225-foot-high observation deck that lets visitors see the Kinzua Creek Valley from above. On the outside, Philadelphia may seem like any modern city with its towering skyscrapers and congested highways. But as you drive into the city, you'll find buildings reflecting the colonial era. Along a cobblestone alley are 32 homes originally built between the 1720s to the 1830s that were part of the Elfreth's Alley, the nation's oldest residential street, and it is still inhabited today. The street was named after Jeremiah Elfreth, who was a blacksmith and property owner. The homes along the street once housed artisans and tradespeople that had their shops on the first floor of the homes. Today, although restored, the street still showcases its 18th century architectural influences. Most of these homes are private, and 2 adjacent ones hold a museum and a gift shop inside. A 16-minute walk from the alley leads you to a building the Founding Fathers met to sign the 2 founding documents of the United States, the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. At 525 Market Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is Independence National Historic Park, where you'll find Independence Hall. Dating back to the 1730s, the red bricked building with its 168-foot-tall bell tower and steeple was constructed in a Gregorian architectural style. Originally, Independence Hall was intended to be used as the Pennsylvania State House, yet one of the rooms in the building, the Assembly Room, was borrowed for the Second Continental Congress in 1775 to draft and sign the Declaration of Independence in 1776, and the Constitutional Convention, which met in 1787 to debate the balance of power between states and other concerns. It's not exactly known how the furniture was arranged in the room, yet the National Park Service attempted to recreate a possible arrangement for how the room could have looked like based on their research. Inside the room, there are 2 semicircular rows of tables with Windsor wooden chairs that face the speaker's platform, or raised platform with a table and chair. Right next to Independence Hall is the iconic Liberty Bell, once called the State House Bell. Today, it's enclosed around a post and rope barrier at the Liberty Bell Center. But in the 19th century, the bell used to hang in the tower of Pennsylvania State House, or today's Independence Hall. The Liberty Bell was constructed in 1751, and it rang from 1753 to 1846 for various occasions, such as the signing of the Constitution and the deaths of Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Alexander Hamilton. Weighing about 2,000 pounds or 1 ton, the Liberty Bell is mostly constructed out of copper along with tin, zinc, lead, arsenic, silver, and gold. The Bible verse, "Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof," is inscribed on the bell. This verse was said to be chosen by Speaker of the Pennsylvania Assembly, Isaac Norris, to honor the 50th anniversary of William Penn's 1701 Charter of Privileges, which allowed the people of Pennsylvania religious liberties and political self-government. What many visitors may immediately notice about the bell is its large crack, but historians are unable to trace when or why the bell cracked. They believe it happened around the 1840s after being rung for 90 years. In 1846, the crack was supposedly widened using a technique called stop drilling, where metal workers drilled into the metal to prevent further cracking. However, that repair was unsuccessful, resulting in a second crack that ran from the word Philadelphia through the word Liberty. A 5-minute walk from Independence National Historic Park is the Museum of the American Revolution, located at 101 South 3rd Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Opened in 2017, the Museum of the American Revolution features a collection of historical documents and artifacts presented in an immersive experience. The exhibits include individuals who played a role in the Revolution, the battles, the founding of the First Continental Congress, the formation of a central government, and more. Since 2026 commemorates the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, the Museum of the American Revolution has created an exhibit called the Declaration's Journey, which lets visitors experience the impact of the Declaration of Independence. The museum also plans to have a series of interactive events throughout the year as part of the exhibit. The Museum of the American Revolution is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., except on certain holidays. On the museum's website, you can take a tour of the museum with a 360-degree panoramic view of the galleries. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. To read more about the Kinzua Bridge State Park, visit the Pennsylvania Trails Central Allegheny National Forest website and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania website. If you want to learn more about Elfreth's Alley, read the article 16 Attractions That Put the Historic in Philadelphia Historic District. For more information about Independence Hall, check out the National Park Service website and the Encyclopedia of Greater Philadelphia. If you want to learn more about Liberty Bell, visit the National Park Service website, Ben's Guide website, benguide.gpo.gov/j-liberty-bell, and the National Constitution Center website. If you're thinking about visiting the Museum of the American Revolution, be sure to visit the museum's website at amrevmuseum.org. The music used in this podcast is from Make Sound Music. Have a great week!